Hi, it's Elise here at Bowman Library with a whole new teen book spotlight. So this week we are exploring some of the new books that have come into our collection over the past couple of weeks. We've been adding a ton of stuff, okay? So I cannot wait to show you just 6. I promise there are way more than just these. So I always encourage when you come into the library to take a look, see what's at the new section. Don't overlook those shelves, those displays, okay? Because there's some amazing, incredible stuff that has come out, including the first one we're going to talk about is one of my new favorites. Like, I almost wish I knew that I didn't read it quite yet because, yeah, we'll talk about it here in a second because, yeah, let's just get started. So it's Threads That Bind, and here's why I'm a little frustrated with this one, because it's the first in a duology, okay? So you're hanging on a cliffhanger. Book 2 is not out yet, okay? So if you do pick this one up, just be prepared. You're going to be kind of upset like I was at the end, where you're just like, what's going to happen, okay? So in this first of our duology, we head to the shrunken underwater city of Atlante, where we meet the Aura sisters, okay? Now, these sisters are no exception to the rule, okay? And this rule is if you are descendants of the Fates, yes, that's right, we are headed into some Greek mythology here. If you are descendants of the Fates, those sisters are always born in 3s, okay? So and each sister plays a role. There's one that's to weave the threads, okay? There's one that's to draw the threads, and then there's one that is there to like cut and manipulate the threads, okay? These are the threads that control people's fates, their lives, their destinies, okay? Again, their fates, okay? Now, the 3 sisters of the Aura sisters, they are not close, okay? Just because they have this doesn't mean they're together. The youngest one, Aya, okay, she has the ability, she's the one who sees and cuts the threads, okay? And she only sees what's been made and manipulated by her older sisters. Now, Io has chosen to use this ability to become a private investigator, okay? Because she has some insight that other people don't have. Now, because of this, she goes down a path that is going to change everything. Because when Io makes this horrific discovery, that she discovers that someone out there is abducting women, changing their life threads, their fates, and then making these women become killers. Yeah, she needs to put a stop to this, but she doesn't know how. So the only thing she really knows, her last chance, is to go to the mob queen, which you don't want to get mixed up with her, but Io does. And she finds herself in having to work right beside her right-hand man, okay? This is the boy, though, that Io is destined to fall in love with, because according to the threads, they are soulmates. Now, that's already complicated to begin with, but then you throw in the fact that they're in this investigation and her estranged oldest sister shows up on the arm of their best suspect. Oh yeah, Io knows nothing is going to be the same. So this is part mystery, there's part Greek mythology, there's some fantasy in it. It's non-stop amazing read again. You're gonna get like me, you're gonna get to the end, you're gonna be like, where's the second one? Unfortunately, you're gonna have to wait for the second one. Loved this one though, Threads That Bind. Harboring Hope, a new nonfiction book that we have. And you know how much I love my nonfiction, no exception, okay? So this is 1940s, it's Europe. The Nazis are invading the country after country, okay, if you know your history. But while this is going on, there are resistance groups springing up as well, okay? The Danish resistance, no exception, and that's what this book is about, okay? Mainly, okay, they do bring in some other stories, but the main one they kind of focus on is that of 22-year-old Henny Sinding, okay? Henny leads the way in this, that she ends up smuggling hundreds, over 800 to be exact, hundreds of Jews to safety from Denmark to Sweden in her father's boat, the Gerda the Third, okay? Now there's other stories again and heroes that are featured throughout of the book, because according to what you read in this story, like facts here, out of 8,250 Jewish citizens in Denmark at the time, 7,742 of them safely survive and or escape with the help of non-Jewish citizens, okay? So this is a look at a true life heroine that you may have never heard of before, but you will after you read this. Use her as inspiration, this amazing and true uplifting story during a dark time in our history, Harboring Hope. Good different. Okay, so in this new novel and verse, we follow Selah as she starts her 7th grade school year at a new private school where everything is different from her previous school, where she knew the rules and, quote, how to be a normal person. Because being autistic, some of the things that go on at this new school affect her differently from others, from the crowded hallways to the fact that the new uniform is itchy on her skin, to that her homeroom is just extremely loud all of the time, okay? And others just think she is plain weird. Now, Selah chooses to hold everything inside, her feelings, her thoughts, but that starts to lead to some pretty negative consequences, especially when one day a classmate in her homeroom just comes up to her, just starts to braid her hair without Selah's permission, and that ends up leading to a bloody nose and a trip to the principal's office. Now, knowing something needs to change, Selah starts to look inward, and it's when she starts writing everything down, this journal, okay, that she starts to change, but also how she views the world and others, and it kind of gives some others insights into her world. Now, this incredible novel and verse is all about acceptance, self-advocacy, and the fact that being different is beautiful. This is good different. Bones of Burqa. Okay, this is a pretty cool nonfiction book as well, okay? And it's bear with me. It's a little bit different from the nonfiction that we tend to talk about, okay? But it's all the way back in 1871, okay, one of the greatest archaeological finds of all time was made. When a group travels, they're in Europe, they're in Northern Europe, they find this Viking town, okay, that they call Burqa, okay? And in this town, they discover stuff they've never seen before. They discover like horses that were buried, clothing, weapons, tools, buildings, and what they claim to be like the greatest find, okay, they assume it's a Viking warrior in this huge preserved burial mound, okay? And they end up naming this body BJ 581, or the King of Burqa, okay? They find bones, everything. It's like, yeah, it's this incredible find. Fast forward then, 2009. Over 140 years later, technology has, how far technology has come. It's advanced. So some modern scientists and archaeologists decide they're going to go back and they want to study the King of Burqa. And they start running some tests on BJ 581 here. And after they run these tests, they run some DNA, they do some studies of the bones and stuff. They discover that these bones, this body, these remains that they found were not that of a man, but that of a woman, okay? This leads to this crazy uproar, these intense debates in the archaeology communities. And some individuals are actually truly upset with these findings. They think these scientists have made it all up. These scientists are then forced to defend what they've done, what they found, their process, their results, everything. It also leads to some furious discussions and conversations about the assumption of gender roles, not only in our current society, but past societies as well, such as the Vikings. Why were we so quick to assume that this warrior was a man? This history-changing discovery may be something you've never heard of before, but it's an eye-opening in terms of scientific advancements and sociological discussions that are relevant to today. Okay, again, a different kind of nonfiction that we haven't really talked about, but it's a fascinating read, and it will challenge maybe some of your preconceived notions that you don't even realize you have. The Bones of Burqa. Last chance books. Okay, so if you're a book lover, okay, and you're looking for a fun romantic read, maybe to get you through the summer, look no further than this one, okay? So recent high school graduate Madeline, she's spending her last summer before college working in her family's independent bookstore. And it's her plan that when she's done with college, she's gonna come back, she's gonna take over running this bookstore. Things soon start to become tense though, okay? It's not going as planned, especially when a chain bookstore opens across the street from her family bookstore, and then Madeline knows what can lead to that. That can lead to her bookstore having to actually close. Then things just get even more complicated when her estranged mother appears out of the blue from California back in Pennsylvania, and then she finds out that her crush, Jasper, not only is he like her crush, but they're like, it's her bitter rival, because she finds out that it's his parents that own that new bookstore and he's managing it. And yeah, that just cannot happen, okay? So soon she and Jasper strike up this fierce rivalry, complete with a prank war that just starts to escalate, and it heads into some dangerous territory with some consequences that could change everything. And all Madeline just wants to do is just keep her family business afloat and her dream alive. You know, romance is going to ensue from there. You might know where parts of this book is going. I promise it's not your typical rom-com book, though. This is Last Chance Books. And our last new book we're taking a look at is Promise Boys. Okay, so Trey, Ramon, and JB, okay, they are 3 students who are attending the prestigious Urban Promise Prep School in Washington, D.C., okay? And even though they don't run in the same social circles, they find themselves at the center together of an accusation when their principal, Principal Moore, he's found murdered in his office during a basketball game. And the 3 of them are now the prime suspects because they were the only ones unsupervised in the building that could have possibly have done this. Now, even though they say they are innocent, through their backstories, because you go back through their points of view to find out what led to them being in detention and such, they each have their own reasons and motives for possibly killing Principal Moore. And they have evidence that points to each one of them. I mean, like, JB is even covered in blood type deal, okay? Now, in order to clear the names, they decide they're gonna have to work together to not only prove their innocence, but to find the person who actually did it, who's truly responsible, because they're not gonna be innocent until someone else is proven guilty. Unfortunately, that's just how things work. Now, this is much more than your usual typical murder mystery. This plot goes much deeper into some underlying social justice issues, politics, racism, and how far is too far in trying to make a name for yourself and to defend your reputation. Promise Boys. These are just 6 of the books that we have here at the library that are new. Okay, again, some amazing reads. Encourage you to come out, check out one of these, or again, check out those new book displays, new book sections, because there's always stuff being added. Plus, if there's something you want that we don't have, you can even fill out a form to ask that that item material be purchased, okay? So I encourage you to come out, check out one of these, or we can help you find whatever that book is you're itching to read, okay? I hope you have an incredible week, and I hope you tune back next time with a whole new teen book spotlight.